One yo-yo stands out in history as the most expensive yo-yo ever purchased at auction. If you are a serious yo-yo collector or a frequent viewer of Yo-Yo Talk, you probably already know what this yo-yo is and maybe what it sold for, but you may not know the entire history, and I'm going to give that to you. For those who have not heard of this yo-yo, I will tell you at the end of this short video what the total price was realized at that auction. But first, you need to know a little history to understand why this yo-yo sold for so much and its historical significance. Like other collectibles, yo-yos that sell for very high prices usually have three essential qualities. The first is condition, the second is rarity, and critical for a high value is an exciting history, enough so that collectors will covet that item. Some people might say age has something to do with a collectible value, but age is typically linked with rarity and condition. A common old collectible might carry a low value. For instance, a Duncan's beginner yo-yo from the 1930s is approaching 100 years old. However, they're not rare because they made millions of them, and many still exist, so the price does not reflect the age. However, a mint condition one would, of course, bring a higher value than one that's been scuffed up and has rim wear and things like that. So here is the story of the most expensive yo-yo. In 1925, a radio station was built in Nashville, Tennessee, along with a studio that would give birth to the Grand Ole Opry. The Grand Ole Opry Theater became almost synonymous with Nashville, Tennessee as the heart of country music. It went through 5 different theaters over the decades, but in 1974, the Grand Ole Opry was to find a permanent home, which was a venue built specifically just for the show. And it was a big deal for the opening, so big that President Richard Nixon attended the opening ceremony along with his wife, Pat Nixon, who was celebrating her birthday. Now, Roy Acuff, who was a country music performer, the Wabash Cannonball is one of his many hits. He was kind of considered the king of country music at that time, and he was one of the staples of the Grand Ole Opry. He was known for pulling out a yo-yo and playing it during his act. And there are even souvenir Roy Acuff yo-yos, the first one being a Duncan yo-yo with Opryland on the reverse side. This is a Duncan Professional, and it sells around the $30 to $35 range, mint in packages. You can pick them up for $15 to $20 loose. And then there's the Hummingbird version, which is a wooden yo-yo. That sells in the $15 to $20 range. I think it came in a poly bag with a little thing if you bought it actually at Opryland. It also came in the little Hummingbird box, but it doesn't seem like the price range makes a difference whether that one is in package or not. But anyway, Roy pulled out a yo-yo, did some tricks, and then handed it to Richard Nixon, who then tried to play it. And I emphasize the word try.
He don't need to get back up there quick anyway. We need him down here for a while. Now, turn your hand over and let it go up. Turn your hand over and let it go up. Now jerk it back.
Nixon then told Acuff,
I'll stay here and try to learn how to use the yo-yo. You'll go up and be president, bro.
Well, we were in politically a time of great turmoil right then. This was in '74, and if you'll remember, President Nixon was up to his earlobes in the Watergate affair, including the missing 18 minutes from the recorded tapes that were subpoenaed by Congress. So shortly thereafter, political cartoonists had a field day with the yo-yo, making this yo-yo even more famous. Now, Nixon autographed the yo-yo and presented it back to Roy Acuff. After Acuff's death, the yo-yo was sold at auction and then placed in storage for years, We never knew really what the brand of the yo-yo was or what the exact inscription read. So my brother was passing through Nashville a month ago, and I asked him if he could track the yo-yo down. And as good fortune would have, they had just put the yo-yo back on display at the Backstage Tour to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Opryland Theater opening, which was 1974, it's now 2024. Now we know what the inscription reads. It's from President Nixon, March 16th, 74, New Opry House, Mrs. Nixon's birthday. The yo-yo is a blank plastic yo-yo without a manufacturer seal. So without that signature, it would be worth nothing. Acuff died in 1992, and at his estate sale, this yo-yo sold for a whopping $16,029. So now you know the story of the world's most expensive yo-yo ever purchased at auction, and Nixon only a few weeks later ended up being the first and only president to resign the presidency of the United States.